I've been doing a couple of little videos about families and husbands, and forgive the unprofessionalism, but I'm not going to get in a big studio. I have a hard time getting around, and today was a pretty day, so we managed to get out here and sit in the sunlight a little bit. People overlook the spouses, the family members, the husbands, the wives, the kids when we talk about military veterans and Veterans Day and all this. And what's missed is that whenever people deploy, soldiers deploy, their families are left behind. So if they live off post, they're dealing with that. If they live on post, they're dealing with that. Living on post brings its own set of unique stuff to a family. I mean, there's a set of standards and things that happen on post that many people have to live by and deal with. That's not common to the civilian side of the house, if you will. And, you know, if you just take the standard day-to-day living and job changes, military members, you know, traditionally every 3-4 years, they got to do the assignment change. They would PCS. I don't know if it's as much anymore, been out for a while, but what was overlooked was, you know, the husband and wives that were married to these military members. You know, say you're stationed in Florida, and now you're going to be stationed in Washington State. You had to pack up all your household goods, move to Washington State, change jobs, transfer schools. Kids had to transfer schools. I'm not going to say you give up your friends, but now you have to find new friends to hang out with. You have to meet new people. You have to restart this job. The military member is going to restart as well in a new unit and everything, but it's still whatever branch of service he's with. It's another post. He's probably going to know some people possibly because of other PCSs. This goes along with the families. You know, you may find out some families PCSed, but at the end of the day, it is highly overlooked. The amount of stress and involvement that comes from the families day in, day out, and their lives are drastically uprooted every time the soldier has to move, deploy, or do something. And, you know, in my own personal experience years ago, we had people that would come over and mow the grass. They'd have a list of things that needed to be done for families, and they would call and check, you know, hey, do you need this? Do you need the oil change in your cars? Everything good? Do you need help with the house, the kids? Do you need a ride? Do you need somebody to help with this or that? And, you know, traditionally, everybody took care of everybody. And once again, we have to remember, as veterans and soldiers and the people that see this and watch this and hear about it, remember there's people behind the scenes that are making sacrifices every day for this to happen. It's probably astronomical to most people's minds that this much goes on, this much stress and trauma and stuff that happens with the families, because it's a lot. It's a lot. And just think about every 2 to 3 years when we talk about uprooting, and we'll just take real quick, you pull your house, nothing else. We're just talking about moving house, furniture, and everything. It has to be moved from point A to B, and it's probably going to go from freaking A to Z before it gets to B, depending on who's moving, how it's working, blah, 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 and all that. A lot of times you can't take the cleaning chemicals. There's not enough room in the vehicles, or the shipper won't take chemicals. So when you get there, you got to buy. This is economically not good. And say, oh, the government takes care of it. No, the government traditionally doesn't take care of all of it. It takes care of part of it, but it was never enough money to totally reset a house. It was to get the basics. And there was a lot of benefits on post. You could go get silverware and plates and stuff, and you could get this stuff from Morale, Welfare, and Recreation, depending on how well equipped the base was and who was running the show. Because sometimes that shit show was getting run by people that really didn't care. They were just there to draw some money. And the facilities and the amenities were not there. So hotels, things like that, you only got X amount of dollars to help compensate this in reimbursement. It's changed a lot, and I understand that. But I would pretty much assume, I won't say assume, but my best educated guess, if you want to use a scientific wild ass guess, is that there's still a lot of funds needed to make these moves, and it's not 100% covered. I mean, we're just talking about the household, just setting up all the little stuff that has to go on, the moving, turning on the utilities, turning off the utilities, the deposits to get you new utilities. There's a lot involved if you ever moved. And think about doing that every 2, 3, 4 years. And then they wonder, you know, hey, man, how did she stay with this? Or how did he stay with this? Because I sure in the hell wouldn't do it. That's why I'm bringing this up, and I'm making these little videos here to go along with some of the others. these family members need a thank you, and they need to be recognized for how much they did. And they're also the history that generally stays, because most of the veterans are short-lived compared to their families who outlived them. So there's a lot here, and we're going to be doing these videos going forward, and I'm going to try to keep them between 2 and 10 minutes, because you know, everybody has their thing about time and duration, and I don't want to waste everybody's time. But I do believe that there's a lot of stuff to be pointed out, and that's why we're making these and doing them. I hope everybody enjoys them. But if you know veterans or anybody that's in this kind of situation where they're constantly doing this, moving and supporting somebody else and having to make drastic, tell them thank you. Tell them, wow, that's a good job you did. And also consider the families that stuck together. There's a high rate of divorce. There's a high rate of dysfunctional families because they get sick of it. No, I'm done with that base living. I'm done with this. And I'll just share a quick story. I remember many moons ago, a friend of mine, his wife was scared to death flying, and she left an over-duty station to go home and visit on vacation. She got upset with the flight. She got scared. A lot of things happened. And he got a phone call and says, look, you've only got 8 months to go over there. I'm not coming back. And he's like, what? She goes, I'm staying here. I'm going to go ahead and set up house. Blah, 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 blah. Lucky for your ass, you're retiring, dude, because I ain't coming back over there. And so she had moved back into their old house because they had actually kept it, and she started setting it up, and she never come back to that duty assignment because she said she would never get on a effing plane for the rest of her life. And as far as I know, for 5 years that I kept in touch, she never did. So something to think about and just keep in mind, and just, you know, you hear about these people that PCS and do these things, say hi to them, tell them thank you if you know them in your family. Once again, not to beat this thing up, but there's a lot of people out there behind the scenes dealing with veterans and soldiers and military and stuff that do not get enough credit. And then sometimes you get little annoying people like this that won't sit still. And I'm bringing this up because every time you PCS or move, if you had animals, it was a pain. It was a huge pain. And if it was a long distance move, you had to take into account these guys and the number of people that dumped animals and stuff on the ranges. It was ridiculous. It's wrong. I'm not agreeing with it, but there was not a system to help take care of these animals when they were being moved. So that was another issue that people run into, was their pets. So, and these are stuff that normal families don't worry about on a day-to-day basis, because once they're in their house, they stay there for quite a long time. And we're talking about moving houses every 4 years. So there was a complete uproot of all structure and system. And please keep that in mind when you hear about people that PCS'd and served 20, 25 years, 30 years, if they made it that long. So anyway, thank you for watching the videos and stuff, and please share them, like them. You know, if you dislike them, that's fine too. Just ask people to keep the derogatory comments down. You don't like something, you don't like it. Otherwise, I wish everybody a good day.